Welcome to this original Golfcast series for the casual player and whiskey drinker. Your passions are being defined. Pouring knowledge segment of our podcast today, we're talking water, right? So, yes, we talked about water and at Elevated Pairing and how the formula to proof down. We took Wild Turkey Rare Breed 116 and brought it all the way down to 100. But I got a couple more follow-up questions from some members saying, I want to know more about water. What does it really do? What is the science behind it? Let's get Miles involved. So from the layman's version, this is kind of the way I look at water. So I do have a game set up here. We're going to play a fun drinking game or a watering down game here in a couple minutes called Whiskey Unlocked. So I have Booker's. I have one that is just a normal cask pour. I have one with 4 drops and one with 8 drops. So again, I've basically taken it down from about 120 down to about 108. So I've actually kind of brought the actual alcohol down, and I'm going to see if it's unlocked flavors and actually changed the enjoyability of a whiskey. So we're getting ready to play that here after we go through our little conversation. The way I view water inside of a whiskey, right? First thing it does, it can release aromas and flavors, right? A lot of times you hear in the whiskey world, it opens up the whiskey. So by adding a few drops of water, it can actually restructure some of the compounds in the whiskey because alcohol and water are frenemies. So you can actually get some different flavors and aromas that can come from nosing as well as taste. I've had it where it's made whiskey taste a lot better, and I've had it make whiskey, I think, make it less enjoyable. So I'm a little hit or miss on the water, but I do understand why. And certain whiskeys I do think open up great when you add water. So the first thing is just kind of releasing new flavors and aromas inside the whiskey. Second, we talked about earlier, proofing it down, taking away that ethanol burn. So as we add more water, we take away the balance of alcohol to water that was in the bottle. And by adding more water, by adding ice, as that ice melts, adding water into the system, you will proof down the alcohol, which will reduce the ethanol, which will reduce that proof, that burn, that what I call a warm hug that I enjoy. But some people don't enjoy the warm hug, so your ability to add water to the system can proof that down. And remember, it's drops, right? We're going to use a dropper to add water to the system. We don't dump a lot of water in unless we're making maybe a cocktail or you really just don't enjoy whiskey at all and you're trying to mask everything. Hey, hats off to you. Preference, right? Improves palate sensitivity, right? Especially when we get really, really high proofs. So you're talking cask strengths, getting things up in the 120s, 130s. Even in the, above 100, that can make a lot of people what we call cask numb, where their tongue, their taste buds will actually get numbed out by the high ethanol proof and you'll lose flavors just because the alcohol proof is so hard, your taste buds can't really navigate it and they kind of go numb. So a lot of times to improve your palate sensitivity by adding water in cask strength whiskeys can really open up flavors and again prevent the ethanol from making your taste buds just go numb. Balance the whiskey out. So again, we talk about it being hot, it's being intense. So again, kind of to balance the whiskey just to make it more enjoyable, by adding a few drops of water can just take away that intensity and make it more pleasurable for some alcohol drinkers. Whiskey drinkers. So the final piece is personal preference, right? The beauty of whiskey is you get to drink it the way you want. If you want it in a cocktail loaded up with sugars and fruit juices, okay. If you want to sit there neat at 140 and just, embrace the fight, enjoy that whiskey punching back, love it. If you're somewhere in between, hey, it's your personal preference. That is the beauty of the system. So by adding water into the system, again, we can just make it more pleasurable for some, maybe less pleasurable for others, but again, it's a personal preference, and that's the beauty of whiskey, that's the beauty of life, right? Sitting around the table with 5 people drinking whiskey 5 different ways, but we're all enjoying whiskey and having a great conversation. That's what whiskey is really about. So again, adding water is kind of a neat piece, and there's a lot of science behind it as well, so if you want, I can bring Miles in here to talk science. Hey Miles, can you give us a little information on the science of whiskey and how it really changes our experience of enjoying whiskey?
Great question, Brian. And Golf Cask Nation, the science behind adding water to whiskey is rooted in chemistry, particularly in how alcohol and aromatic compounds interact with water. Here's a breakdown of the science. 1. Solubility of aromatic compounds. Whiskey contains various aromatic compounds that contribute to its flavor and aroma. These compounds are more soluble in alcohol than in water. When you add water, it changes the solubility of these compounds, causing some of them to become less soluble and rise to the surface. This is why adding water can release more aromas, making the whiskey smell more vibrant. 2. Reduction of alcohol concentration. Whiskey, especially cask-strength varieties, often has a high alcohol by volume (ABV). At high concentrations, alcohol can create a burning sensation on the palate, masking the subtle flavors. Adding water reduces the ABV, making the whiskey less hot and allowing your taste buds to detect more nuanced flavors. 3. Hydrophobic interactions. Alcohol molecules are amphiphilic, meaning they have both hydrophilic, water-attracting, and hydrophobic, water-repelling, properties. When water is added, it disrupts the balance between alcohol and water, causing the hydrophobic, nonpolar, flavor compounds to cluster together and rise to the surface. This can make the whiskey's aroma more pronounced. 4. Micelle formation. As water is added, micelles, tiny clusters of molecules, can form. These micelles can trap and release aromatic compounds, contributing to the complexity of the whiskey's flavor. This process can help certain flavors become more prominent or balanced. 5. Impact on viscosity. Adding water can also change the viscosity, thickness of whiskey. This can affect the mouthfeel, making the whiskey seem smoother or more approachable. 6. pH changes. Water can slightly alter the pH of whiskey, which may influence how certain flavors are perceived. A small change in pH can affect the ionization of acidic and basic compounds, leading to a different taste experience. 7. Dilution of volatile compounds. Whiskey contains volatile compounds that evaporate easily, contributing to its aroma. By adding water, you dilute these compounds, which can make some aromas more noticeable while muting others. This delicate balance is part of the reason why whiskey's character can change so dramatically with just a few drops of water. In summary, adding water to whiskey is a chemical process that can enhance the aroma, flavor, and overall experience by altering the solubility of aromatic compounds, reducing alcohol burn, and changing the whiskey's structure. This scientific interaction between water, alcohol, and flavor compounds is why many experts recommend experimenting with a few drops of water to find the optimal balance. Hope this was helpful, Brian, and enjoy the new game, Whiskey Unlocked.